Hey, I'm Robert with Saw Manufacturing. We're out here starting to warm up. We're getting into spring and it is allergy season here in South Alabama. So forgive my sniffles as we go through some new equipment I want to show you. This is our Double Head Resaw. Very similar to our PR6, but it's got two heads instead of one. So we got our main feed going through there, compact design, first blade, second blade, and then it's got our return on it. This is the 6-inch wide model here. We've got 20 horsepower motor for the first blade, 20 horsepower motor for the second blade. So I can really run through there quick, got plenty of power to push through that wood. So if you're making pallets, maybe into some fencing or some staves or whatever you're into, it's really set up and geared towards the pallet market. But I can get a lot of wood cut with this thing. So we'll show you a couple features of the machine and then we'll run some wood through it. So we are feeding the boards through. This is a 6-inch wide rough top belt. It's got good grip. The cant's not going to slip around on there. We've got 3 hold down rollers. So these are spring loaded. So that spring, it's got a hook down here on the bottom side, so I hook and latch that, but I've got a good bit of range on there. But I can adjust for however thick I'm running the wood through there. I've got several notches over here where I can adjust the height of that spring, adjust the tension on it. Big heavy pneumatic tires holding those cants in place. So we're going to flip this up and we're going to look at our roller guides. So we are using our roller guide system, 8-way adjustments on there. That's tilt up, down, left, right, in and out towards the blade, and then I have horizontal adjustment on it as well. So this bed table is able to be tilted. So I've got a pivoting point down here, adjustments, and that's on the front and the rear end to keep it stable on this bed. But that bed can pivot left and right. I can also take my roller guides and adjust it up and down. I don't want to cut beveled siding when I don't want to cut beveled siding. But we have that option when I get into it. But I want this blade to be able to line up true, lined up flat. So I can adjust it with the bed or I can adjust it with the guides. But the blade and the belt, they do need to run parallel or square to each other as you're sawing. But the pivot on the guide, so I can control this blade. I can tilt it up, I can tilt it down, I can line it up where it is sawing flat. So not just side to side, but as it's going through the wood up and down. When I'm sawing, I want to saw fast, but also want to saw straight. That makes much sense to go real fast if I can't keep it real straight. So I use those guides to line that up, keep that blade true so I can really push it hard, get the full use out of that horsepower on here, that 20 horsepower motor. All right, so we've got 26-inch Bandwheels on here, latch on the other side, handle on top, so that door comes off real easy. We're gonna look at our tension side and then getting the blade on here. It is a little tricky, tight space, but it works out around the guard, comes out. One person can get the blade on and off by themselves, but it is a tight space on here. But the doors come right off. We've got 26-inch band wheels. These are our solid steel wheels, same wheels we run on the AC36 sawmill. There is a little bit of crown on that wheel, and that is keeping that blade tracked on the wheel, keeping it true. So when we make these, we go around and it's not perfect, nothing is, but as close as we can get it. It is machined face going around. So when that blade's going around the wheels, there's no pull and stretch as that blade's going around. So that's going to give me better tracking on the blade. It's going to give me better stability going across the guides, and it's going to give me better blade life. So we've got a lot of time and effort in getting these band wheels just right. And since it is steel, we can use diesel fuel or any oil as a lubrication. Whether it's diesel fuel, paint thinner, kerosene, we really like automatic transmission fluid, but you got your 2 reservoirs back here, 1 for each head, so they are separated. And then I've got a little sight glass stripper where I can adjust the flow on that, and it comes down to a little felt pad that wipes on the blade, and it's going to be on this side over here. So as that blade's running through, we've got a little wiper down there at the bottom, and that puts that diesel or whatever fluid that we're running, but it applies it to the blade. So if I'm running indoors, I don't have diesel fuel flying around. I'm not making a huge mess with my water tank. A drop a second's all we need, and that keeps that blade clean. And when I can run a blade clean, it's going to run much cooler. It's going to run much truer. So that system works very well with the steel band wheels, the diesel drip system, and then we'll look at our tension system as well, but it is a live tensioner. It's got a spring action on it. So when that blade stretches, blades typically are going to stretch this way, not this way. You only get so much for that blade's going to break. But as they're wearing, those teeth get duller and duller and the blade pulls apart. That's where we're going to see our wear at. So when that blade hits a hard spot and those teeth separate, we're not losing tension on the blade. That blade doesn't get limp on me and start rising up and down. That spring tensioner maintains constant tension on that blade as I'm going through that cut. So with the steel wheels, there is no give there. I've got to have that give on that spring tensioner. So the steel wheels, lubrication system, and the spring tensioner, that setup allows me to push that blade. I'd line it up against any competition, but I can push that blade harder, I can push it faster, horsepower for horsepower. Those few things allow me to really control it and get the most out of it. Is our tension system. So I mentioned that as part of really taking care of that blade, but we've got a spring tensioner on here. So I do have a handle. Got it on the back side, but I can put it in and I can crank that up and down to line that up. So I'm not guessing at my tension. We've got a little key stock indicator. We're gonna line it flush right up. So as soon as I get that lined up flush, that's where I want to run my tension at. No guesswork. Not sure if I've got too much tension, not enough tension. It is preset, bring it to the mark, and then you're ready to saw on it. Now we also have our tracking plates here. So if you go to different size blades, we've got 1.5 inches on here now. I could step it down 1.25 inches. I could step it up to 2 inch. So I've got room to adjust on our blade width, our blade sizes. So if I make that change, I've got this tracking plate back here, and it's we call it the book. So I can open and close it, and it's taking that band wheel and it's shifting it left and right, and that's where that blade's going to ride on that wheel. But as it's set up right now, it is set up for a 1 inch or 1.5 inch blade, but I could very easily drop it down to 1.25 inches or 2 inch. We'll go back and forth here. So we're going to look at that guide again. Nut on the front of that guide, take that off. Whatever size guide or blade that I'm running, I need to put the correct guide in place. If I'm running 2 inch, I don't want to run an 1.5 inch blade. There is pressure on that blade. So on the low profile resaws, that roller guide is pushing up on our blade. So if it's pushing up and my blade's too wide for that guide, pushing on the back side, it's going to act as a pivot and it's going to push that blade down, and we're cutting into our belt. If I cut in my belt, I can't use my machine. So I want to match that guide up with the blade that that we are running, because with that up pressure, I need full control on that blade where just the teeth are sticking off the front edge, and that way when I tilt my guide, I'm tilting that blade along with it, and I'm not creating a pivot point there on the end. So 1.5 inches on here now. If I went to the 1.25 inches, put a smaller guide on here, adjust my hinge on the other side, and I can run 1.25 inches. So very quick, simple changes. I like the 1.5 inches with the horsepower that we're running. That gives me a lot of speed, but if I need to go a little bit thinner, I certainly have that option on here as well. So that's how we're taking care of the blade on our tension side. Something else we want to look at is how we are raising this head up and down. So I do have a fixed belt. That belt's main frame here does not raise up and down. We can tilt it left to right, but it is fixed and each head moves individually. So we are using a gearbox shaft and 60 roller chain, very similar to what I'm using on the head of my AC36. And what that does is that allows me to pick this head up evenly on both sides. So I don't get any racking, I don't get any bouncing. It is very stable going up and down on both sides. And I can crank that gearbox up and down, and I can raise that head. So whatever thickness of board I'm looking for, these heads do raise independently. We're raising just the first one right now, but raising it up and down off the deck there for whatever I'm looking for, set it, and I can run all day at that height. So we are using a hydraulic system to power our belt. So the reservoir, the filter, easy accessible, easy to get to. We got our pump here on the first motor. Also easy to get to. This guard unbolts right here, slides right off. And then we are controlling our belt speed with the flow control valve here. So I can adjust how fast I am feeding through there. 0 to 10 on here, so I can get that up faster than what I'll actually be able to saw, or slow it down if I got some real hard stuff that I'm not real confident in. But full control over the belt feed, that is the end feed and the return feed. They are matched off of that same flow control valve there. So as we start up, we do have 2 separate power boxes. So I'm gonna start the first blade and my second blade, run them independently. So if I took one blade off, I could have a single head resaw if that worked better for that application. So run a couple bores through, you can kind of get an idea of what we're doing. Stand here, keep those cans moving, pull the next one, keep on going, and I can get 3 or 4, depending on how long, how big I'm running through there. Need a little bit better system for picking up the boards off the back end. Need somebody down there or a table or something they're dropping off onto. But we've got this one set up just to demonstrate, and then it'll be headed out hopefully this week to the customer. But if you're looking for a double head resaw, I think this may be beneficial to your operation, give me a call. We can talk through it. We've got different power options that we can look at doing. If you're needing something special, we can look at doing custom builds. But if this is something that you're interested in, give us a call. And as always, we appreciate you watching our videos.